Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. So I thought today we would continue our reading with the Tao. Excuse me. We read about 20 passages in the last video. I figured we could read 20 more and it would be a good way to start off the week. It's Sunday now when I'm recording it and probably Monday when I'll upload it. But whenever you watch it, I'm sure we'll find you at the right time. So here we go. This is passage 21 of the taotecheng. All the innumerable forms of De correspond to the norms of Tao, but the nature of the Tao's activity is infinitely abstractive and elusive and obscure indeed, but at its heart are forms and types, vague and elusive indeed, but at its heart is all being, unfathomable and obscure indeed, but at its heart is all spirit, and spirit is reality. At its heart is truth. From of old its expression is unceasing. It has been present at all beginnings. How do I know that its nature is thus? By this same Tao. 22. At the time, the deficient will be made perfect. The distorted will be straightened. The empty will be filled. The worn out will be renewed. Those having little will obtain. Those having much will be overcome. Therefore, the wise man, embracing unity as he does, will become the world's model. Not pushing himself forward, he will become enlightened. Not asserting himself, he will become distinguished. Not boasting of himself, he will acquire merit. Not approving himself, he will endure. For as much as he will not quarrel, the world will not quarrel with him. Is the old saying, quote, the crooked shall be made straight, end quote, a false saying? Indeed, no. They will be perfected and return rejoicing. I love that. They will be perfected and return rejoicing. It almost sounds biblical. 23. Taciturnity is natural to man. A whirlwind never outlasts the morning, nor a violent rain the day. What is the cause? It is heaven and earth. If even heaven and earth are not constant, much less can man be. Therefore, he who pursues his affairs in the spirit of the Tao will become Tao-like. He who pursues his affairs with De will become De-like. He who pursues his affairs with loss identifies himself with loss. He who identifies himself with Tao, Tao rejoices to guide. He who identifies himself with De rejoices to reward. And he who identifies himself with loss rejoices him to ruin. If his faith fail, he will receive no reward of faith. 24. It is not natural to stand on tiptoe, or being astride one does not walk. One who displays himself is not bright, or one who asserts himself cannot shine. A self-approving man has no merit, nor does one who praises himself grow. The relation of these things, self-display, self-assertion, self-approval, to Tao is the same as offal is to food. There are excrescences from the system. They are detestable. Tao does not dwell in them. 25. There is being that is all-inclusive and that existed before heaven and earth. Calm, indeed, and incorporeal, it is alone and changeless. Everywhere it functions unhindered. It thereby becomes the world's mother. I do not know its nature. If I try to characterize it, I will call it Tao. If forced to give it name, I will call it the great. The great is evasive. The evasive is the distant. The distant is ever coming near. Tao is great. so is heaven great, and so is earth, and so also is the representative of heaven and earth. Man is derived from nature. Nature is derived from heaven. Heaven is derived from Tao. Tao is self-derived. One more time. Man is derived from nature. Nature is derived from heaven. Heaven is derived from Tao. Tao is self-derived. Well, that's powerful. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The quiet is master of motion. Therefore, the wise man, in all the experience of the day, will not depart from dignity. Though he be surrounded with sights that are magnificent, he will remain calm and unconcerned. How does it come to pass that the emperor, master of 10,000 chariots, has lost mastery of the empire? Because being flippant himself, he has lost the respect of his subjects. Being passionate himself, he has lost control of the empire. 27. Good walkers leave no tracks. Good speakers make no errors. Good counters need no abacus. Good wardens have no need for bolts and locks, for no one can get by them. Good binders can dispense with rope and cord, yet none can unloose their hold. Therefore, the wise man, trusting in goodness, always saves men, for there is no outcast to him. Trusting in goodness, he saves all things, for there is nothing valueless to him. This is recognizing concealed values. Therefore, the good man is the instructor of the evil man, and the evil man is the good man's wealth. He who does not esteem his instructors or value his wealth, though he be otherwise intelligent, becomes confused. Herein lies the significance of spirituality. 28. He who knows his manhood and understands his womanhood becomes useful like the valleys of the earth, which bring water. Being like the valleys of the earth, eternal vitality, they will not depart from him. He will come again to the nature of a little child. He who knows his innocence and recognizes his sin becomes the world's model. Being a world's model, infinite day will not fail. He will return to the absolute. He who knows the glory of his nature and recognizes also his limitations becomes useful like the world's valleys. Being like the world's valleys, eternal day will not fail him. He will revert to simplicity. Radiating simplicity, he will make of men vessels of usefulness. The wise man then will employ them as officials and chiefs. A great administration of such will harm no one. 29. One who desires to take and remake the empire will fail. The empire is a divine thing that cannot be remade. He who attempts it will only mar it. He who seeks to grasp it will lose it. People differ. Some lead, others follow. Some are ardent, others are formal. Some are strong, others weak. Some succeed, others fail. Therefore the wise man practices moderation. He abandons pleasure, extravagance, and indulgence. 30. When the magistrate follows Tao, he has no need to resort to force of arms to strengthen the empire, because his business methods alone will show good returns. Briars and thorns grow rank where an army camps. Bad harvests are the sequence of a great war. The good ruler will be resolute and then stop. He dare not take by force. One should be resolute but not boastful, resolute but not haughty, resolute but not arrogant, resolute but yielding when it cannot be avoided, resolute but he must not resort to violence. By a resort to force, things flourish for a time but then decay. This is not like the Tao, and that which is not Tao-like will soon cease. 31. Even successful arms among all implements are unblessed. All men come to detest them. Therefore, the one who follows Tao does not rely on them. Arms are, of all tools, unblessed. They are not the implements of a wise man. Only a last resort does he use them. Peace and quietude are esteemed by the wise man, and even when victorious, he does not rejoice, because rejoicing over a victory is the same as rejoicing over the killing of men. If he rejoices over killing men, do you think he will ever really master the empire? In propitious affairs, the place of honor is the left, but in unpropitious affairs, we honor the right. The strong man, while at home, esteems the left as the place of honor. But when armed for war, it is as though he esteems the right hand, the place of less honor. Hi, Kodak. Hi, buddy. Kodak loves the Tao. Smile, Kodak. You're taking a picture, Kodak. Kodak, I was not done. The strong man, while at home, esteems the left as the place of honor. But when armed for war, it is as though he esteems the right hand, the place of less honor. Thus, a funeral ceremony is so arranged. The place of a subordinate army officer is also on the left, and the place of his superior officer is on the right. The killing of men fills multitudes with sorrow. We lament with tears because of it, and rightly honor the victor as if he was attending a funeral ceremony. 32. Tao in its eternal aspect is unnameable. Its simplicity appears insignificant, but the whole world cannot control it. If princes and kings employ it in every one of themselves but the whole world cannot control it. If princes and kings employ it, every one of themselves will pay willing homage. Heaven and earth by it are harmoniously combined and drop sweet dew. People will have no need of rulers, because of themselves they will be righteous. As soon as Tao expresses itself in orderly creation, then it becomes comprehensible. When one recognizes the presence of Tao, he understands where to stop. Knowing where to stop, he is free from danger. To illustrate the nature of Tao's place in the universe, Tao is like brooks and streams in their relation to the great rivers in the ocean. 33. He who knows others is intelligent. He who understands himself is enlightened. He who is able to conquer others has force, but he who is able to control himself is mighty. He who appreciates contentment is wealthy. He who dares to act has nerve. If he can maintain his position, he will endure. But he who dying does not perish is immortal. 34. Great Tao is all-pervading. It can be on both the right hand and the left. Everything relies upon it for their existence, and it does not fail them. It acquires merit, but covets not the title. It lovingly nourishes everything, but does not claim the right of ownership. It has no desires. It can be classed with the small. Everything returns to it, yet it does not claim the right of ownership. It can be classed with the great. Therefore, the wise man, to the end, will not pose as a great man, and by doing so will express his true greatness. 35. The world will go to him who grasps this great principle. They will seek and not be injured. They will find contentment, peace, and rest. Music and dainties attract the passing people, while Tao's reality seen is insipid. Indeed, it has no taste. When looked at, there is not enough to be prized. When listened for, it can scarcely be heard, but the use of it is inexhaustible. 36. That which has a tendency to contract must first have been extended. That which has a tendency to weaken itself must first have been strong. That which shows a tendency to destroy itself must first have been raised up. That which shows a tendency to scatter must first have been gathered. This is the explanation of a seeming contradiction. The tender and yielding conquer the rigid and strong. Spirit is stronger than matter, persuasion than force. The fish would be foolish to seek escape from its natural environment. There is no gain to a nation to compel by a show of force. 37. Tao is apparently inactive, Wu Wei, and yet nothing remains undone. If princes and kings desire to keep everything in order, they must first reform themselves. If princes and kings would follow the example of Tao, then all things will reform themselves. If they desire to change, I would pacify them by the simplicity of the ineffable Tao. This simplicity will end desire, and if desire be absent, there is quietness. All people will of themselves be satisfied. That's powerful. This simplicity will end desire, and if desire be absent, there is quietness. All people will of themselves be satisfied. 38. Essential De makes no show of virtue, and therefore it is really virtuous. Inferior virtue never loses sight of itself, and therefore it is no longer virtue. Essential virtue is characterized by a lack of self-assertion, Wu Wei, and therefore is unpretentious. Inferior virtue is acting apart, and thereby is only pretense. Superior benevolence, in a way, is acting, but does not thereby become pretentious. Excessive righteousness is acting, and does thereby become pretentious. Excessive propriety is acting, but where no one responds to it, it stretches its arm and enforces obedience. Therefore, when one loses Tao, there is still day. One may lose day and benevolence remains. One may forsake benevolence and still hold to righteousness. One may lose righteousness and propriety remains. Propriety alone reduces loyalty and good faith to a shadow, and it is the beginning of disorder. Tradition is the mere flower of the Tao and had its origin in ignorance. Therefore, the great man of affairs conforms to the spirit and not to external appearance. He goes on to fruitage and does not rest in the show of a blossom. He avoids mere propriety and practices true benevolence. 39. It has been said of old, only those who attain unity attain selfhood. Heaven attained unity, and thereby is space. Earth attained unity. So relaxing to read, I'm getting a little sleepy. Heaven attained unity, and thereby is space. Earth attained unity, thereby it is solid. Spirit attained unity, thereby it became mind. Valleys attained unity, therefore rivers flow down them. All things have unity, and thereby have life. Princes and kings, as they attain unity, become standards of conduct for the nation, and the highest unity is that which produces unity. If heaven were not space, it might crack. If earth were not solid, it might bend. If spirits were not unified unto mind, they might vanish. If valleys not adopted to rivers, they might be parched. Everything, if it were not for life, would burn up. Even princes and kings, if they overestimate themselves and cease to be standards, will presumably fall. Therefore, nobles find their roots among the commoners. The high is always founded upon the low. The reason why princes and kings speak of themselves as orphans, inferiors, and unworthy is because they recognize that their roots run down to the common life. Is it not so? If a carriage goes to pieces, is it no longer a carriage? Its unity is gone. A true selfhood does not desire to be overvalued as a gem, nor to be undervalued as a mere stone. 40. This will be our final reading for today. Retirement is characteristic of Tao, just as weakness appears to be characteristic of its activity. Heaven and earth and everything are produced from existence, but existence comes from non-existence. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that little session, and I will talk to you guys later. Adios, agua, aloha, and goodbye.